Let me repeat it. You're going to turn the deaf ear. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem with legislation is it changes according to the whims of politicians. Now, this always used to be absolutely spot on. It's not anymore. The problem with the trust is this. At the very moment, it is taxed at 41%. In the past, what we used to do is we would lend money to the trust. We're going to get to that. It now has serious tax implications if you lend money to your trust. Let me ask you this, is it your trust? No, it's not. You're just a beneficiary in it. It's not your trust, it doesn't belong to you. Because if it does, then some high court would say it's an extension of your personal estate and include it in your personal estate. All those assets in there. The other thing is Davies Tax Commission. The Davies Tax Commission was commissioned by Praveen Gordhan 10 years ago. It's now 11 years ago, during his previous stint. And he instructed Judge Davies to investigate the position with wealth taxation. What is the finding? And that report has been out for 12 months now, a little bit more than that. And it is devastating. What he proposes is the following. To do away with the conduit principle. Whom of you do not know what the conduit principle is? Conduit principle, if you ask the engineers, you have a pipe and you pump water through that pipe. You own a farm, your neighbor's farm is between you and the source of your water. The source of your water, the fountainhead, is 2 farms away. So you have what is called a servitude. You have a nice big lister pump at the fountainhead, and it pumps the water via this pipe over your neighbor's land into the dam on your land. That's the conduit principle. The trust earns income. Instead of keeping it in the trust, that guy on the right-hand side, you immediately distribute it to the beneficiaries. Then it does not get taxed in the trust. It gets taxed in the hands of the beneficiaries. Now, you have your spouse, and your 3 children are the beneficiaries. You pay 41% tax. Your spouse pays, for argument's sake, 20% tax. The children 18%. So what then happens if you split it between the 5? The one would pay on his portion 41% like in the trust. The spouse 30% tax on his or her portion, and the children each on his or her portion 18%. So you have a little bit of a tax, actually a significant tax break. What is the problem with this? We have now established there's a damn good reason why we do not accumulate the wealth in our own hands. For all sorts of reasons, amongst others, that 14.5 million rand out of your 20 million which you hand out after your death. If you have the assets not in your personal hands, then it means there will never be the law of succession applied to it. Nobody can inherit it because it's not in your deceased estate. It's sitting in a trust. So when you die, it just carries on. No tax. And what's very nice, no accrual. Bianca gets bugger all, Aziko, nothing. Sorry, lovey. Because you die, not the trust structure. Nice, isn't it? But the problem is, we pay 41% on all income in that trust. So the idea of the trust is absolutely spot on. The tax implications are horrendous. Over and above that, if you do sell a property which is registered in the trust, your capital gains tax will be calculated as follows. Capital gain, 1 million rand. Let's use that example again. Which one did we use? 10 million. Let's say your capital gain in the trust is 10 million. Multiplied by the applicable inclusion rate applicable on trusts, 80%. 8 million. Multiply that by 41%. What is that? Basically 3.3 million. Your capital gains tax in that instance is massive. So we can go on and on and on. And if the Davies Commission's recommendations are accepted, which they eventually will, they're going to do away with the conduit principle within the next 5 years, which means you will bring and earn that income in the trust and you will pay your 41% tax on it, and then you can distribute it. But, says Judge Davies, I actually want the tax rate similar to that of a company hiked to a standard rate, and he wants it 45%. Why? It's wealth tax. You take from the rich to provide for the poor. Not like a normal democracy where we take from the poor, make them even more poorer, and then give it to the rich. Ladies and gentlemen, consider this for a moment. If you earn 100,000 rand a month, how much does a bread cost? 12 bucks. From your income of 100,000 rand per month, how onerous is 12 bucks? If you earn 1,000 bucks a month, how difficult is it to spend 12 bucks on a bread? Okay. It doesn't end there. One of the reasons why we have a trust is because we do not want to grow wealth in our personal names. Now let's say you use the conduit principle. You get the income, you don't pay tax in the trust, and you put it back in your own hands. What have you just done? All the wealth that you created, you gave back to your own personal estate. Okay. It defeats the whole purpose. Is there a solution? Of course there is. What do? We play around with the tax a little bit. We don't cheat, we don't steal, we just play with it. It's like that pet puff adder. Play with it, make sure you stay away from the sharp end. That's what we do. There's the individual. We have our trust. We register a company. In the company, we will pay 28% tax. We issue 999 shares to the trust. The trust becomes the owner of the company. The company becomes the owner of the properties, which means It's not in your personal hands. It will never be in your deceased estate. But you will not pay 45% tax on your income. Because what happens upon your retirement? You've now paid off all your properties. Now you actually want that income. Let's say you have a very nice portfolio of 20 properties. You earn on average, in today's terms, 5 grand per property. How much is that? 100 grand. If you had those properties in your personal name, you would have paid 41% income tax on that income, because it exceeds 701,300 per year income. So if you had the properties in your personal name,